Hello and welcome to IDFC First Bank presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 11. I'm Sunanda Jayaseelan. On the show tonight, we're talking all things travel, tourism, hospitality. First up, a conversation with Isha Goyal of STIC. Also joining us live on the show tonight is Ramee Group of Hotels. My first conversation tonight with Isha Goyal of STIC. She's no stranger, of course, to the viewers of Leaders of Tomorrow. She's speaking to us, amongst other things, about how the travel and tourism space can capitalize on the Amrit Kaal. What are some of the big trends and the ideas for a new India where travel and tourism are concerned? Take a listen. Solo travels, weekend trips over long weekends, a lot of that is really getting discussed by way of trends, and who better to ask you to discuss those in depth than you, Isha. Are these really picking up traction? Are we seeing enough people doing that?
No, I think it's still niche, but there is definitely tremendous growth in that space. So, like I said earlier, I think travel experiences or travel choices are becoming a lot more immersive and experiential.
Okay.
And I think while India is such a large market that we sometimes get overwhelmed by volume. So while the large volumes are still coming from conventional channels and conventional choices, there is, if you look at the trend line or the growth rate of these solo experiences or offbeat experiences, the demand for offbeat experiences, it's growing exponentially. And I think that is a reflection of much more growth and progress to come. And I don't think that's a fad. I think it's a trend to stay.
The travel and tourism space is one of the largest really when it comes to the kind of the number of people, the sheer number of people that it employs. And, the government is, of course, planning on strengthening it even further post the pandemic and the kind of hits that's taken during the pandemic. And if you had a couple of things that you want the government to focus on when it comes to this space, what would that be?
So I think in terms of the initiatives that are helping, I think the most obvious is the effort and the commitment the government has made towards developing our infrastructure. And across the country, infrastructure with airports, with respect to infrastructure and ease of access, right? So that access starts with the visas and the ease of access to visas. And also after one arrives in India, in terms of making our historical and cultural sites more accessible, the cleanliness drives, the safety drives, the upgrading of infrastructure, the budget commitment towards upgrading our infrastructure and facilities available for tourists at the various sites of interest across the country. So I think that commitment is definitely a step, a very big step in the right direction, and will go a long way towards improving the profile of India as a destination.
Sure.
I think where we do fail as a destination is in how we are marketing ourselves globally. It's unfortunate, but I think while India is a significantly richer destination and a much more diverse destination than a lot of its neighbors, not just neighbors, anywhere in the world, we pale in comparison to the marketing story that a lot of other destinations around the world spin. And while those are very attractive, excellent destinations as well, I think we can put out a much more powerful statement, commitment to incredible India, which unfortunately we don't do.
A bit of a subjective question now, Isha. The top 5 domestic and the top 5 international destinations that you think people should explore at least once in their lives. I'm curious to know.
So I'm going to stick with what my favorites are. As far as I think domestic or national destinations are concerned, Ladakh is one of my absolute favorites. So I would say it has to be on everyone's bucket list. The second one has to be the national parks in India. I think they're amazing and very unique. The third would have to be Kerala and the backwaters. Again, a very unique experience. And, especially if you build in the wellness part of it, the Ayurveda and the yoga, etc., it's just wonderful. And the fourth I would say, would be some of India has about 40 UNESCO heritage sites at the last time I checked. I think it's about 30 or 32 cultural sites, and 7, 8 are more natural sites. So if I had to go with a list or make my own bucket list, I would definitely look at the list of UNESCO World Heritage Sites. I don't know many countries that can boast having 40 UNESCO World Heritage Sites. So definitely follow that list. And then the fifth, I would say, would be actually the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. I think they're a very special destination, and I would most certainly recommend Andaman and Nicobar to anyone looking to travel within the country. For the international, I would say my all-time favorites. So I think Greece, Italy, the Mediterranean is definitely one of my favorites and a must visit because it's such a beautiful combination of culture, food, natural beauty, and history. So Mediterranean is definitely one of my favorites. African safaris specifically, again, a very unique and an overwhelming experience. I think the third for me would be diving sites. Or diving sites or snorkeling sites around the world. So again, depending on your budget, whether it is Maldives or places like Raja Ampat or Komodo in Indonesia, or if you can afford it, French Polynesia, any of those or several other sites around the world where you can experience the beauty of marine life. The fourth, I would say, would be the Northern Lights. And the last one is New Zealand. It sounds a bit, simple compared to all these other destinations or groups of destinations or experiences that I mentioned. But I've always wanted to go to New Zealand. I believe it's a beautiful combination of natural beauty and a very unique culture. I'd love to experience it. So hopefully, sometime in the near future, I'll get to experience a driving holiday in New Zealand.
Our overarching theme this year, Isha, is Ideas for New India. And my question to you is, I want to really try and understand what are those big ideas that you think should definitely be incorporated and pushed if we want to ensure that we are tapping the full potential of this space.
So I think when we talk about Ideas for New India, and with everything that is going on with respect to whether it is the G20 presidency or it is the growing role India is playing on the global stage, I think the one thing that continues to be a gap, and I do hope that the government does something to fix this soon, is how we position, market, and sell Incredible India in the global tourism travel industry or on the global stage. Incredible India, while the government did shut down the Government of India tourist offices, which were defunct, I think using the embassies as a vehicle is a good bridge. But it's so important that we look at creating a strong marketing organization that promotes and markets Destination India around the world. Being as rich a destination as it is, I think it's a huge gap. We look at what other tourism boards, tourism bodies, and governments are doing. And a lot of it is not really run by government organizations. It is in many ways a public-private partnership, which our government is a fan of, and I think would be the right solution of identifying or even privatizing the marketing of Incredible India to compete with some of the large marketing campaigns that are currently dominating the world stage with respect to travel and tourism. So I think that is definitely something that I hope to see in the times to come, that we talk about Incredible India, do justice to the brand that is India and the destination that is India. So I think that would be my hope, recommendation, suggestion or idea for the new India, as you like to call it. And I think as far as outbound travel is concerned, I would come back to the more, it sounds boring and it doesn't sound as exciting and magical as Incredible India or marketing does, but it would be regulatory reforms, I think, making it easier for travelers to book travel overseas. So with whether it's TCS or it's, in terms of how more and more airlines are coming to India. And while the government has done a lot, we've come a very long way from where we were 10, 15, 20 years ago with respect to our aviation policies, for example. I think it's important that our tourism policies and regulatory policies also support and encourage travel. Travel has always been from, the early years, the early times, for centuries, been a driver of economic development. It's been a driver of change, of growth, of bringing riches, both tangible and intangible, into a country and a community. And while domestic growth is important and developing India as a tourist destination is important, we need to equally emphasize and encourage Indians to travel, continue to travel, and explore new and more destinations. So definitely reforming our outbound oriented regulations and policies would be something that I hope happens or continues to happen, but more aggressively.
All right, Isha. Pleasure as always chatting with you. Thanks for taking the time.
My pleasure.
I'm going to take a quick break. On that note, when we come back, Ramee Group of Hotels joining us live on the show. That's a conversation you don't want to miss. We're back in just a moment. Do stay tuned. Welcome back. You're with us here on IDFC First Bank presents Leaders of Tomorrow, Season 11. I'm being joined live by Rajit Shetty of Ramee Group of Hotels. Rajit, good having you here with us on the show. And of course, this is the first time we're speaking with you, and I'd love to kick off today's conversation and pick your brains by asking you what the big ideas are for a new India, what your opinion would be.
So I think hospitality is probably going to do really well in India, especially considering there's a lot more youth coming into the market, getting their first paychecks, graduating school, the middle class segment growing. So a lot of people post-COVID want to have an experience and go to restaurants, travel more around the country as well. So hospitality looks really good post-COVID.
In a previous interview, I noticed you had said that you want to be seen as a lifestyle hospitality chain, not just as a hotel that's selling rooms. Some insights into how you're planning on achieving that.
Every room has like a balcony. Every room has a jacuzzi hot tub for like couples or families to relax, corporate clients to relax after their long day of work. So we're getting into rooms now, but we're never a typical room focused, let's say, experience hotel. We could be in the future, but not at the moment. That's just not our strong suit. We're not boutique hotels. We're lifestyle in the sense of that when you stay at a Ramee, you know for sure that one of the best clubs in the city is going to be in the hotel, probably one of the best restaurants as well. So you have all your F&B experience and you're dining in your vicinity, like in your building where you're staying at.
What are the top hospitality trends to look out for in 2023?
I personally like the personalization aspect. I think a lot of tech and a lot of things that we could do to personalize the guest experience to make them feel like this is their spot that they'd always come back for is definitely the trend that I like the most. A lot of people are also getting into, let's say, the buzzword AI and things like that. But for me, all of it goes to personalizing the guest experience. So you have your regulars, you have people who come their first time as well, and you just want them to come back. And how you do that is by making them feel like this is where they belong, and you know them and you can treat them to their needs and exactly what they like. And of course, with good service.
What are your expansion plans in India long term? What can you tell us?
Our expansion plan goes for the next 3 to 5 to 10 years. We have a lot of new projects coming up. We have Andheri, we have Goa, Surat is already just opened actually. So we have a few management contracts, Delhi as well. Bangalore has a lot coming. We have a lot of F&B spaces and hotels. Dadar in Mumbai and Juhu will probably be 5-star hotels. We're going to expand to the existing ones. So a lot of stuff to do in the next decade, because the planning and then building and then conceptualizing. So the next time we even talk about any of the concepts there will probably be different concepts. So some of them are just expanding our brands such as Tanatan that's doing really well, or Bombay Adda, or any of our other projects. And some of them is building from scratch.
What are some of the achievements? What are some of the challenges? What can you share with us as far as your professional journey is concerned, Rajit?
So in terms of my achievements, I don't think there's much. I mean, yeah, we've done a lot and we've come a long way, and I'm proud of the fact that like I am doing stuff and have responsibilities and execute with my team.
Okay.
But when you still think of hospitality in India, you still think of Taj, Leela, Oberoi. You don't think of Ramee Group. So as far as in my head, I mean, achievement wise, it's not there yet. Let's put it that way.
Sure.
Also, the other thing is, I think my goal more likely is like to pass it on to the next generation. In terms of challenges, there's a lot of challenges in hospitality. One of them is that since COVID, it's really hard to hire people going into the sector, because it was one of the sectors that was really affected by COVID in terms of paychecks and people who had their costs, day-to-day costs. So I think a lot of people realize that hospitality is not a safe environment for like global pandemics. So hiring has become really a problem. And then another challenge is the abundance of competition. There's a lot of really good ideas and concepts, and it's fun. It's good to have competition because it keeps the industry on its edge, especially for the consumers. It's a service-based industry. So the guests always have something good to look forward to, and they always have options.
Small businesses across the travel and hospitality, value chain are hoping for a revival when it comes to this space. How soon do you see that happening?
I feel like aggregators are definitely back on the market, especially in some states that I noticed that we pay more to some aggregators than others. Some are okay because we have corporates, but I think they're doing fine as far as I understand in terms of, from my perspective at least, they're definitely back, because the first thing you do, even me, when let's say I'm going to a city where I don't have a Ramee,
sure,
I'll look at booking.com or TripAdvisor, right? That's the first thing I'll do. Unless there's a hotel off the top of my head. Like if I'm going to stay at a Postcard, that's a specific experience that I want, which is Postcard Hotel. So then I'll just go directly to Postcard. But in general, we go to aggregators.
What advice can you share with our entrepreneurs who perhaps are looking at turning entrepreneur? What advice could you give them?
The whole point is just keep going at it, right? I think you'll have a lot of ideas and people will understand them and some people won't understand them. And you will fail. You might not have the right team. You might not have the right funds, but you just have to keep going at it. And even if you fail, honestly, I learned a lot from my failures, and those are the ones that taught me like the best lessons in the longer run than like my successes.
Okay.
So I think the more you keep failing, it's really, it shouldn't discourage you. The guys who made Airbnb, I think, failed more than 50 times and couldn't raise funds for ages, right? So if you're an entrepreneur, the idea isn't that you're an entrepreneur. It's just that you just want to build cool things and you like doing that, you're fine. Then you'll keep doing it.
All right, Rajit. Thanks for your time here on the show. Completely out of time on tonight's episode. If you have any feedback for us, do let us know. Our details on your screens as we speak. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.